I'd like you to think for a minute about an unsolvable societal problem. You know, something like cancer, global warming, the healthcare crisis, multi-generational poverty. What if I told you that New City Kids solves one of these unsolvable problems? You're going to guess which in just a minute. Well, let me give you some background statistics. Many of you know that from about 1880 to 1970, incarceration rates in our country stayed relatively stable and then suddenly quintupled to the levels they're at today, so that the United States incarcerates even teenagers at a higher rate than any other country in the world. In fact, there are more African American men in prison in this country than in college. Sitting where you are right now, I want you to do this little mental exercise of trying to guess what percentage of 20-something-year-old African American and Latino young people have a college degree. What percent do you think? It's 20%. Now, what's been the response to these sort of escalating cycle of poverty issues? From both the government and the social service sector, it's generally been reactive to, build bigger prisons or intervene after the problems have occurred. But what if we could intervene in the lives of some of the most neglected, underutilized change agents in the world? I'm talking about teenagers, before the problem set in. That was the insight, that was the intuition we had 17 years ago when we started New City Kids. Consider these results since then. For the last 9 years in a row, 100% of our at-risk seniors have graduated high school. 100% of them have gone on to college, and here's probably the most important statistic: 90% have completed college or are still in college now. 0% have gone to prison. How do we do that? We begin with these highly structured, engaging, performing arts, academic-focused after-school centers, which have been recognized by the White House 3 years in a row as being among the top 50 in the country. But that's not the real fire. Ask me what the real fire is. Thank you. The real fire is how we staff it. Instead of using beautiful adults like you or volunteers, we staff our programs primarily with paid teen interns. And so there's this magic point where a kid is coming up through our programs that she switches from being the recipient to being the leader of the program. And I want to throw a number at you. It's the number 5,000. Malcolm Gladwell has 10,000. We have 5,000. This is the number of hours that we try to spend with every single child. By the way, when I say after-school center, please do not picture, a drop-in center with some kids shooting hoops and a table set up where someone's doing homework with a snack. No, no, no. Now, I could go on, but we'll just leave it there hanging. Why does that change their life? Why does that break the cycle of poverty? Because as these kids grow up, they experience, when they turn 14, this 4-year internship where we deliver this host of holistic, life-engaging, future-oriented, sort of unleash your potential kinds of services. Now, those things lead to some incredible results. And right now, I could tell you some of the stories of some of the great ones. Like, I could tell you the story of George, who came to me and said, "Teach me to play bass guitar." And, he went on to play with the likes of Justin Timberlake. And I could tell you the story of Jonathan, who always dreamt of becoming a football NFL star. And he went on to get 2 Super Bowl rings, now plays for the New York Giants. And those are great stories. But I made a bold claim to you at the beginning. I said we knew how to break the cycle of poverty. And that's not just with these exceptional kids. That's with nearly every child. So let me instead tell you the story of Dominic and the kind of New City milestones that piled up in his life and that happened to every kid who comes through our program. I met Dominic when he was 11, and he signed up for the Summer Adventure and Sailing Camp, where he got to do these boundary-stretching things like pilot an $80,000 sailboat through the waterways of New York City. When summer ended, he wanted to sign up for our after-school program. What's next? Well, we taught him how to play drums. Now, drums fit Dominic perfectly because it allowed him to hit stuff without getting in trouble. I think that's important when kids grow up. But at the same time, life was not going well at home, right? His parents were going through a divorce. He was estranged from his dad. And the worse things got at home, the more he threw himself into his New City family. where he found love, he found structure, he found support, and he found something else. He found out he was good at something. He was good at audio technology. He was good at the drums. People recognized him for these talents. And he had this moment of discovery that's so important where you realize, I can do this thing I never thought I could do before. If you get enough of those moments and you pile them up on top of each other, they rewire the brain for confidence. So that by the time Dominic turned 14, he had been looking forward to getting a job for 3 years. We've been talking a lot about work these last couple days. Imagine that. You can't wait to get a job. And then something magical happened to Dominic. This connection between cause and effect, promise and fulfillment that has so often been broken in our urban communities was restored. You'll get a paycheck in 2 weeks. 2 weeks later, he gets the paycheck. Amazing. About the same time, he signed up for one of our optional Bible studies where he began to hear about a God who loves him, who cares for him, who has a purpose for his life, who made him in God's image. Those things went deep in him. But Dominic still got in trouble. He still, got suspended for misbehavior. And New City Kids fires teenagers. We don't put that on the poster, Firing kids for change. But that too helps break the cycle of poverty because we're preparing kids for the real world, right? The flip side is also true. We promote kids. When they do well and they're faithful, they get raises, they get more responsibilities. And I remember he said, Pastor Trevor, one thing I will never do is I will never go to college, so don't even try. Until we took him on the college tour, where he got to see other kids that looked like him, that were like him, flourishing and thriving on a college campus. When he got back, he applied for and received a scholarship to a 4-year college. Just 3 months ago, he graduated. Now, Now, is he, in the NFL? Nope. Does he play on stage with famous people? Nope. But it's this gradual application for 5,000 hours together of these 10 milestones that breaks the cycle of poverty. Now that is multiplied. We have 160 Dominics right now in 3 cities, and they're serving 300 other kids who are looking up to them. But what if, instead of being in 3 cities, we could be in nearly every city? We have a plan right now to build what I'll call the New City Kids Factory that over the next several years can plant not just the next 3 sites of New City Kids, but the next 23 sites. And you've been hearing the statistic that 10 to 20% of kids growing up in poverty receive a college degree. Only 10 to 20%. New City's at 90%, okay? So what if one of the kids growing up in one of these future sites is the one to solve one of those other unsolvable societal problems I mentioned at the beginning? Thank you for letting me share my passion and my dreams.